Hello, I'm Bosede Olusola Obasa, and I am a character development trainer and culture shaper. I have played a great role for 10 years in workplaces, helping leaders maximize all of the resources within their purview, especially the persons that they lead. Leadership is an interesting topic, and in this session, I am going to be talking about 10x your leadership, let your values lead the way. Very interesting, you'd find shortly. Values are crucial, but I'm going to begin from talking about some of the fundamental truths and philosophies or principles that have been established by great persons like John C. Maxwell. What does it mean to lead? To lead is to influence. So it says that leadership is influence, and I agree absolutely. What about you? Now let's move to something else that's a very fundamental thing that has been said over the years by John C. Maxwell, a very, very reputable voice when it comes to leadership globally. And he says that leadership is knowing the way, showing the way, and going the way. That talks about a lot. And you're going to find out how talking about values as a leader helps you understand this better. I have been privileged to not only talk about leadership, but to talk about it in the sense of reputation. So I'm going to discuss 3 S's quickly that's going to help you 10x your leadership. And I'll tie it quickly thereafter with your values. Actually, I think that building your values is the most fundamental thing that your leadership requires from you. And you had better started taking that a lot more seriously than ever. So let's talk about 3 S's. Number 1, success. Number 2, stability. And number 3, sustainability. What have they got to do with this? You might ask. Find out shortly. So everyone has learned over the years the importance of succeeding. And so many teachers, facilitators, coaches, mentors, and just name them, a plethora of teachers in different forms and versions have helped people know how to succeed. I can tell you without blinking that today it takes no major effort to know how to succeed. Agree with me? So there are 10 leadership things you need to know, 10 keys to this, 10 tips to this. You have all of them all over, even the internet. And that's really beautiful for leadership. So succeeding is just one of the steps that you need. But you see, it's so loud, it's so important, and you cannot afford not to have it. What does it mean to succeed as a leader? For a lot of people, it is to get to that point where they are comfortable, they are able to afford just about anything they want, and a number of people are at their beck and call. Whatever succeeding means to you, I introduced to you the next S called stability. So, stability is crucial because it has to do with you being able to perpetuate that success, taking it point A to point B to point C, and as far as to point Z. What does it mean to be stable in your leadership? It means that point where you have control of things. And I'm not talking about dominating things here. So you'll find out again more when I talk about values. So being stable talks about that point where you have mastered the art. There's self-mastery that has come into play. And that has a lot to do with leading yourself. I'll discuss a little more about leading yourself shortly. And the third S is sustainability. So what I'm doing for you to begin is to show you 3 S's that might be the cycle of your leadership. To succeed, so you walk to that point where you can say, oh, I'm a successful leader. To being able to say, I'm stable in my leadership. And to be able to say, this is sustainable, meaning that it will outlive me. So there are people who have left the world physically today, and they are still leading you and I. If you think closely, 1 or 2 or 3 names will quickly come to mind. That's exactly what we're saying. So I am interested in things being sustainable, not just being built. And that's because of my root as a character development person. I understand that when you build character, one of the things you are doing is creating a reputation. A reputation that can be depended on, that is trustworthy. I also called it building a brand that is trustworthy. So I haven't introduced these 3 S's to you. I just showed you the lifetime of your leadership. But now let's go into how your values can lead the way of being able to 10x your leadership. Values are very important. And my simplest way of defining values is saying that values are simply things that you value. Values are things that you value. A lot of the times our values come in form of noun words, verb words, or adjective words. So if I say that I value accountability, I'm referring to that noun word called accountability, which shows itself in a verb word that means to be accountable. This is so important. So as a leader, before you clinch, ask, strive, gone, or launch for leadership positions, the first thing to be doing is building your values. Once you know that leadership is not just about positions. So from some of the things I'm saying, you can tell that I'm very well a student of the John C. Maxwell School of Leadership. Because in one of his books that you probably have come across, The 360-Degree Leader, he helps us understand that you can lead from anywhere in the rung of the ladder. You can lead from up, can lead from the middle, you can lead from, yes, down there where you think it does not really matter. And to put this all together, we are looking at being able to lead yourself with your values. So before you look for positions of leadership, so there are two things about leadership. There's the idea of being a leader, and there is the position of being a leader. One is as important as the other. Everyone who assumes leadership as a lifestyle will eventually be rewarded with a position of leadership. People only need to know that when you are around them, you get things rallied and you influence them, and they will literally, unanimously, and like we say here, or opposedly bring you to a position of leadership. So position should come as rewards for your leadership. It's not the leadership that is the position. Your positions should come as rewards for your leadership. So we're talking about 10x in your leadership and allowing your values to lead the way. And I'm on this point of saying that you are the first attraction or interest when it comes to leadership. What should you be doing with you? From the very moment you got to understand that there's something called leadership and you are leaning towards it as a lifestyle, you prepare yourself with certain values that will make those 3 S's I introduced to you earlier on possible. I'm sick and tired of a world where someone was a leader today, whether by position or by influence, and tomorrow they are nowhere to be found. Honestly, the young people are very, very sick of a world where they lack role models who they can follow on a perpetual basis. Decades after, they have gone on the ground. You see those who were governors yesterday, and just before you blink, they are no longer there. Why? Not just because they lost the position, but they stopped being leaders in that we are not interested in following them anymore. Where did they get to that point where they lost leadership? The point at which the trust of the people who they are supposed to be leading was lost. So John C. Maxwell was it again that said, if you say you are a leader and there's no one following you, you are just taking a walk. You are leading nobody, because leadership is essentially influence. So one leadership value or positioning that you must take before you think of a positional leadership and 10x in it is personal leadership. When you understand personal leadership, it becomes very easy for you to understand the place of values. Personal leadership talks about knowing yourself, sorting the things you know about yourself. So I call them self-discovery, self-assessment before self-discovery, and after self-discovery, you do self-mastery. Whatever you have found out about yourself, you try to master it. So it's a point where you are looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly about you. And you're saying, oh, I can be weak in this area. I'd like to work on it. Oh, these are my strengths. Anybody can rely on me when it comes to this any day. So this is very important. To be able to 10x your leadership, you must master personal leadership. If you cannot lead yourself, the dream of leaving the world will end in a mirage. You must be able to lead yourself first. So look around today. The issues we have around leadership in the world today is around people who have not successfully led themselves, but they want to lead the world. They want to lead humans. They want to lead families as fathers. They want to lead children as mothers. They want to lead organizations as CEOs. But they have not successfully learned to lead themselves. That's the strongest platform to 10x your leadership. I can tell you that, and you can find out or cross-check this anywhere. Failure to be able to lead yourself is failure ultimately to be able to lead others. It might seem like you're succeeding at leadership because you call things are the answer to you starting out. But will it be sustainable? Will it be stable? And then will it be sustainable? Talking about the life cycle of your leadership. I look forward to a world where leaders will last forever. Like, put it that way. I look forward to a world where a president is president by role and then is president in life and for a lifetime. Talk about elder statesmen going from owning a position or ruling in a position or taking a position to being able to rule our lives literally and dominate our thoughts as thought leaders, as influencers. I am not talking about what influencing has become today. Influencers. I'm talking about people who rule your thoughts, who encourage you, who teach you, and who bring you into the space where you've always wanted to be, and then help you be sustainable there. So I've mentioned the need for you to prioritize personal leadership. Quickly, in personal leadership, when you do it well enough, and you are part of people's lives, you will be rewarded with roles. You'll be rewarded with being a president. And I'm not talking about people who buy votes. Again, those are realities. And it tells you why they cannot last. If they last all through the seasons of their office, they will not last in life. And which is more important? I think that lasting in life is more important. So we move quickly to the next thing you should take care of. When you are rewarded in your personal leadership with roles, with responsibilities, with that promotion, you know, many of us were open and looking forward and working towards a promotion, a movement upwards and inching here, inching there. When those things come, there are three things you must embrace. They are mindsets that can 10x your leadership and that can show you as a person of value. And those are P, R, and O. It's a model I designed some years ago, both for workplace persons and for leaders across all areas of life. P talks about privilege. P talks about privilege. What's privilege? Privilege is that mindset that tells you that, oh, anybody could have been in this role. It doesn't always, often, and may not have always been me. Someone else may have been in this position. You know what? When you have the mindset of privilege, there is a way you're humble and you're trying to understand every stakeholder in that ring. You are looking at all the various chains of values and you're telling yourself, I have to carry everybody along. So when it comes to how you get your values to lead the way in trying to 10x your leadership, I have designed a model called PRO. P, talking about privilege. It's important in life to live with a sense of privilege because it helps you calm your nerves, settle down, be humble, and realize that there are other stakeholders in that value chain. What this does for you is helps you carry everybody along, caring about every single person on the rung of the ladder. Privilege speaks to the fact that this could have been someone else in that position. Recall I had begun by saying that personal leadership is the foundation for you to be able to 10x your leadership. It speaks to you wanting to create a leadership that will outlive you. Yes, because I did say there are people who are leading us today who had been dead so many years ago. Talk about the Mahatma Gandhis. We still talk about their fundamental thought lines and their quotes today, and they literally rule the way we do things. So there are so many people like that, and it speaks to what their understanding of leadership was and what they prioritized. What you prioritize is what you value, and what you value are your values, simply put. So back to privilege. Privilege is a mindset that simply says that any other person could have been here. I do not have to. Yes, you may have merited it, and I would ask you to merit it any day. because there's this feeling that meriting it does for you. I'll ask you to merit it any day, but in addition to that, you must understand that certain other factors came to play. For instance, if you belong to a team of line managers and there is a need to pick one to top the charts for all of them, there'll be so many things that will go into that decision making other than just your capacity to know your job, the way we say. There'll be loyalty, values will be checked. People will have to review you based on things you cannot be in the room to speak for yourself about. And then the decision is made. So in life, there comes a time when you understand that it's not just about meriting it. It's about people vouching for you, sticking their necks for you and saying, yes, we stand by this person, or we stand behind this person and we know they can get the job done. But don't forget that your leadership did not start from roles, responsibilities, positions, or designation. It actually starts by leading you and having values that set the tone or set the pace for it. So being privileged says that it could have well been anybody else. The second one is responsibility. Responsibility speaks to you understanding that there's work to be done. So I encourage leaders to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty when it's time to work. So leadership is not just about folding your hands and calling the shots, asking others to do it. And please don't bring me all the story about, oh no, I don't want to macromanage, so I have to allow them, or micromanage, I have to allow them to do it. Let them get their fingers burnt and then we'll sort it later. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm saying that when you ask people to go, you should be the first person going. Don't forget that a leader is someone who knows the way, who shows the way, and who goes the way. This makes your leadership exemplary, such that people can pick your patterns and run with it, whether you are present or not. That speaks to responsibility. There's work to be done. And when it comes to responsibility in leadership, you are either giving responsibility or you are taking responsibility. So there's a give and there's a take. When are you giving responsibility? Literally, the fact that you've been given that position is a giving of responsibility. You've been given a responsibility to make people happy, make the country better, improve the economy, make this. Every time there are goals, there are objectives, there are targets, there are visions around every such role, responsibility, or position that you earn. That is the fact that you were given a responsibility to get something done. So when you forget about the fact that it's a given responsibility and you lounge and forget that you are there to get something done or make things happen, it's an anathema. It's not supposed to be. The second one is receiving or taking responsibility. This is a higher call, if you ask me, because anybody can be given responsibility. But when you are taking it, it means that you are stepping out of the bandwidth and doing things without being cajoled, without being pushed, without being massaged in your ego, without being tipped, without being every other word that talks about people pushing you or urging you. It's when you are taking responsibility that you are doing the exceptional. Don't forget this about 10xing your leadership. So it means you must be doing something extraordinary. You must be stepping out of the space that is very well known into doing exceptional things. When you come into leadership with the responsibility mindset from taking and receiving, you find out that you're obviously definitely doing much more than anyone signed up for. And that makes you unforgettable. And that makes you a brand of leader that will always be remembered. So a few years ago, a young man walked up to me and said, oh, I've just been made the general manager of an organization. And I said, oh, beautiful. I said, can I set a goal for you? He said, why not? I'd invited him to a free chat, a CEO chat with me. And then when he came, I said, can I give you a vision that you probably can run with? That is going to be bigger than your head. He said, let it come, let me have it. I said, what about you plan to be the most successful or best GM ever in the history? So that anyone who comes after you is fighting to step into that shoes. That would look like a verbose dream, something that is beyond one's head. But yes, I threw that on the table for him and he took it up. I do not know what it is right now, but I'm saying that it drove him beyond what he literally would humanly want to do. And he was out there doing it until he had to go do something else. So it's important to set goals that are bigger than your head sometimes. It is when you're ready to take responsibility in addition to the one you've been given. And finally, when it comes to 10x in your leadership and align your values to lead the way, from privileged mindset to taking or receiving responsibility, and then to opportunities. You will like this. Every leadership position, every leadership opportunity comes with opportunities. Opportunities to scale, opportunities to meet people, opportunities, just name it, opportunities. And we all love opportunities, don't we? But you see, opportunities will always come in form of responsibilities. So if you're not ready to log in and bring in the best in R, you may miss out on the O. That's the trick. There will be opportunities to scale. So people who got jobs in bigger organizations got it because they were noticed taking responsibility and receiving responsibility where they were. And so the greater opportunities came. Look at leadership from wheresoever you want. You will find that a privileged mindset and the adequate dose of responsibility over the time of your life there will always bring you opportunities. What are my closing remarks for you? My closing remarks for you are the fact that leadership is that opportunity that you have to decide how you want to be remembered. Leadership is the opportunity you have to decide how you want to be remembered. How do you want to be remembered? I can go ahead and mention a few names today, and the moment I mention their names, there's going to be a world picture that will come to your head. But I don't want to do that for so many reasons. But I'm saying to you that when your name is mentioned some years after you have left the position, what will be in people's head? Would they say, oh, he did wonderful. He changed this. He brought that. He created this. You have to understand that every opportunity to lead is an opportunity to decide how you want to be remembered. How do you want to be remembered? This is important. And if I must advise you, I want you to be remembered as an accountable leader, as an authentic leader. What does it mean to be accountable? It means that you hold yourself accountable to yourself, to any God you worship, and to the people who gave you the opportunity. So if many of our leaders in the politics realm understood this, you can imagine how differently they will be acting. Accountability is crucial for any leader. It talks about you being the first to obey whatever rule you are making. If you're not willing to obey the rules and you want it to work, let me advise you, go to bed. It will fail excellently. Because if you will not lead the pack, people will only do what you think or want them to do when you are there, and when you're not there, they will do what they see you do. So, leadership is your opportunity to decide, to determine how you want to be remembered. Be accountable and be authentic. Very, very important. Be authentic and then be a leader of vision. Never come into a position of leadership or the lifetime of leadership without a vision. I have decided the kind of leader that I want to be. I have decided, and I'm walking the walk every day. So many times I get the challenge of, why don't you do it the other person's way? I'm like, no, this is me. When you meet this brand, this is what to expect. This is the leadership message that I'm preaching with my life. It's my choice to determine how I want you to remember me. So if you meet me once or twice or thrice, there definitely has got to be something on your mind about who you think I am. And it's a deliberate step. Leaders, let's go ahead and be deliberate, because this is important in 10xing your leadership. Let values lead the way. Thank you.